As promised in the last video, I wanted to do a little recap video of the Disneyland Paris Run Weekend, just to show you a little bit more about what the weekend was like, the other things that we did, like the meetup and the parks, and also want to talk a bit more about what it was like to run and some of the things that I think might need improvement for next year. Now, first of all, I want to start by saying that I had an amazing time during Run Weekend. I really enjoyed myself during the races and everything around it. There are a couple of things that I think Run Disney France really drastically needs to change, and I might come off a little negative in this video about these things, but that's just because I think Run Disney France is really dropping the ball here. That doesn't take away from the fact that I think the Run Weekend is really great. I'm already signed up for next year, so there's another thing that I would normally mention at the end of the video, but I'll mention it now just in case you don't make it till the end of the video. Run Disney France has sent out a survey to everybody. Fill out the survey. Let them know your experience and what you think of the race. Now, it doesn't leave a lot of room for your own opinions and to fill in extra things. So if there are things that you think they really need to improve on, if you had a bad experience with something, let them know. Send them an email. Send them an email telling them about the things that you think they need to change. If enough people send an email about the same things, they might just do something about it. That being said, let's start at the beginning. We got to Disneyland Paris on Thursday and we checked into Sequoia Lodge. Now we went straight to the Expo from there to wait in line for it to open. This year they opened on time, which was a great improvement from previous years. It was very easy to get through and we had our bibs and shirts picked up in no time. The Expo itself is really small and it seems to get even smaller every year. There was no real reason to stick around after checking out some of the merchandise and having a photo taken. Even the medals that they had on display were all old medals, and not even the medals for this weekend were out. So that was a bit disappointing. It did, however, give us more time in the park that afternoon. Since Thursday is not really a busy day in the park, we got to do a lot of rides that day already. It's a weekday and not everybody that was there for the races was there already, so no long lines. On Friday, it got a little bit more crowded, but that's why there's magic time. Today, it is the day of the 5K, but it's an evening run, so we still have all day at the park, and now it's time for extra magic time. The 5K was an evening run, which is nice if you're waiting in the corrals and it's nice and sunny out. Speaking of the corrals, let's address this. The Corral Assignment has been a big problem in the past years, and it always gets a lot of criticism on social media. This year was no different. Before the races, I contacted Run Disney, and they told me that Corral A is for elite runners that have a proof of time of under an hour and 30 minutes. Now, since there are not enough runners, they fill in the rest of the corral randomly with other runners, but they do take in account the predicted time that you give them for the half marathon. Now, this didn't really turn out to be the case. For the 5K and the 10K, you already are not giving them a predicted time. And the elite runners were in Corral E. They were in front of Corral A. And then something happened that a lot of people didn't even notice. Even runners behind me in Corral A, I found out, didn't see this happen while they were waiting. There was a large group of people waiting on the side of the start, people with a bib with the letter I, or some with just a Mickey sticker over their Corral letter. These were invited people, sponsors and such. They were let in behind the elite runners of Corral E and in front of Corral A. This is what slowed the entire race down for everybody and what created all the long lines at the character stops. Most of these people were not fast runners and had no business being in front. They were a wave in front of us and had a head start. And at Disney Village, we already hit the congestion and had to weave through the slow runners and walkers. Now, I know a lot of people want to be in front. They think that if they're slow runners, if they're in Corral A, they'll have more time to finish the race. But actually, if there's an assignment by the speed you run, it will make the race go smoother and the lines get shorter. If a fast runner gets to a character stop, he runs up, gets a photo taken, runs off, he's gone. Someone in a wave behind him is never going to run into him. He's never going to wait for him. Makes everything just go smoother. If slow runners are in front, the fast runners come behind them, they slow the fast runners down. When the fast runners get to the character stop, they get in line, the line gets started behind them, and now everybody is waiting for the slow runners and the fast runners in these humongous lines. It makes absolutely no sense. The character photo stops are a big reason for a lot of people to do these runs. It's what makes the Disney run so special. So it is something that they really need to improve on. Now, the scanning of the bibs went a little bit faster than last year, but still it takes up too much time and slows the entire process down a lot. At the 10K, they instructed the cast members that they couldn't take photos with people's phones anymore because it was taking too much time. But they actually said it was fine to take a photo yourself, which in some cases just took even longer. And I'm not just speaking for myself, because really I can't complain that much since I didn't have that many lines, but right behind me, lines started forming, and almost everybody I talked to about the races complains about the long lines. It is really a problem. Okay, enough about that. The 5K was a fun run for me. I started out way too fast to try and pass the invited people, but once I did, I enjoyed the course and the characters that we got to meet. Of course, the 5K is very short and over before you know it, but seeing that we had to wake up early the next morning for the 10K, it was good to be able to head back to the hotel at a reasonable hour. For the 10K, I was out by 5 a.m. to secure my spot in the front of the corral. It wasn't busy at all, and I probably could have gone out an hour later and still be fairly in front, but I also kind of love just hanging out there with everybody, talking to people I've met at other races, meeting new people there, and just taking in the atmosphere and the anticipation of the race. Now, the 10K had a course through both parks, and even though we were going in and out of the parks constantly, most of the course was on park ground, so I really loved running the 10K. Again, I went out too fast to pass the invited people, but that happened for all three races. Saturday afternoon, we had the meetup. It was really fun to finally meet a lot of people that I've had contact with through YouTube and Facebook, and now meet them for real. And also meeting up with people that I met in previous years. It was a lot of fun. Also, the entire weekend, people kept coming up to me to thank me for making these videos, for helping them with their training, or just to say hello. I really love that, to meet people who are enjoying the content that I'm making, or even better, that I'm helping them to stay motivated. Somebody came up to me in the park and he told me that he never thought he would run a half marathon, but that I helped him to train and stay motivated. And that was because of me that he was now there running the half marathon. I thought that was amazing to hear, that I had such an impact and that I could help him to now run a Disney run. So thank you to everybody who came up to me to say hello, to share your journey with me. It really made my weekend even more special. On Sunday, it was time for the big race, the half marathon. Another early morning of heading to the corral at 5 a.m., but it was warmer and I was fine just sitting around in my running costume. My friend Phil from the UK came down for the half, but we didn't actually run together. You may have seen him in the half marathon video as we crossed paths coming out of the park. living in different countries, we don't get to hang out much, so it's always special when we do, and it's great to do this at Disney. The half marathon is a great course. It was my 4th time, and it has changed a bit through the years, but the part outside the park is pretty much the same. The first time I just thought it was a long, boring stretch like everybody else, but I actually enjoy that part now. There's musical entertainment, and I get to pass a lot of runners there that are on the other side of the road, so I can admire their costumes on my way back to the park. Coming back to the park, I think they could use a little more character stops there. I would think that lines would also be shorter. I don't know what it was like at Chip and Dale, if you were in Corral C, but with runners being a lot more spread apart by the end, I'd assume a couple of character stops would be nice. The stunt show area didn't have any characters for any of the runs this year, which is a missed opportunity if you ask me. The finish area didn't seem to have as many photographers as normal, I thought. I think it could be designed a bit differently maybe. Throughout the race, the cast members and the volunteers were amazing. But at the finish area, the almost aggressive way that you get ushered away to the back seemed to not really fit the Disney way of doing things. Picking up the challenge medals at the Expo went pretty smooth. I thought the photographers there could have been a little better. There was a big backdrop there with the genie on it. The photographer actually asked me to step to one side, with me thinking that way he'll get the genie in, but that didn't end up being the case. After a day of relaxing and getting some last minute rides in just before close, we enjoyed our yearly traditional dinner at Inventions. Now, this restaurant is amazing, and with all the characters there, we just had a lot of fun taking some metal pictures with the characters and just joking around with Goofy and Hook. It was a great way to end a great weekend. Like I said, overall, I had an amazing time this year, and I'm already looking forward to next year's races. Now, the one thing that kind of puts a negative point to this is the Corral assignments, especially if you're in Corral B, C, or D. And I've already had several reactions to my videos of the 5K and the 10K of people who let me know now that they now know they don't want to do Disney runs because of the congestion on the course and the zigzagging right at the start. I can really understand where they're coming from, because it gets really annoying, especially if you're further behind. But still, I really enjoy the races, and I really think they're worth running and worth taking the trip for. I did hurt my foot this weekend, which was probably the result of going out too fast at the start of the race 3 days in a row after standing still in the corrals for 2 hours. Hopefully that'll heal soon. Last year I started in Corral B, this year in Corral A, so it was a little bit better, but still they messed up the Corral assignments and they weren't really truthful about their setup. I'm hoping the next year it's going to be better, but I'm not expecting it to be. I'm still hoping. But just in case they're not, I'm setting a new goal for next year, and that is to try and run a half marathon under an hour and 30 minutes so that I can get in with the elite in Corral E. Because if you're in E, they put the invited people behind you. So yeah, my new goal is to run faster, to get to the characters faster without any lines. You gotta have goals. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had an awesome time filming it and running through the parks. Now my next Disney race is going to be the Dopey Challenge in Orlando in January, so I'm looking forward to that one. The next run video that's coming up is the Berlin Marathon that I ran the weekend after the Disney runs. Now until next time, get out there and run.